All right, welcome to class, everybody. This is the second class, so I like to call them, since I do my classes Tuesdays and Wednesdays, this is the Wednesday class of week 2. Digital Animation 1. For the announcements, I have one announcement, and it's why one of our students isn't here, and I asked her, she gave permission for this. As of this last weekend, she had a little baby boy, Shantae Baker. So if you guys are friends with her, congratulate her. It's a cute little thing. All right, so before we get started, are there any questions? Joshua, I think we're going to talk about your...
Yes. I have been my animation CC hasn't updated to 2018, and I can't figure out why.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and look at that here later in class, because I have an idea of the reason, but I have to actually see your computer to check that out.
Okay.
All right. So let me get through the assessment first, or the assignment, and then we can get to then we can look at yours, and then I'll go through the assessment. All right. So are there any other questions before we get started?
No.
All right. I would like to let you guys know Michelle McDonald's visiting us tonight. She's another instructor that is also teaching this class. So,
hello, thanks for letting me in.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started then. Where we were at last night, does anybody remember? What did we do?
You had most of your assets drawn for your little Taekwondo guy.
We had the assets for the little Taekwondo guy. All right, so let's bring it up here. Okay, so we'll bring the guy up. There's our little guy. We started our start button. We have our bag, because this guy's going to hit that bag. In the end, I'm going to make this bag bend as he kicks it. And he's going to fly through the air and kick it. Okay? Now, we're missing one asset. Do you remember what it is?
It was the other part of the button, I think, or the blue part.
The stop button, exactly. So we're making that in Photoshop, right? So the easy way, all we have to do, the selection tool, the magic wand. Let's go down, select it, do the shift so I can go over and get more. And we're going to go Command C. Or for those of you with PCs, Control C, File New. And it comes up the right size we need. Command V. All right, now, there's an easier way to do this. Can you tell me what it is? Well, let's go back and open the Start button. Well, the easiest way to do this is to actually just take these. I'm going to duplicate that, so my Command J. Then I'm going to go Command V. Now I'm turning off the Start. Now notice the Start button word. We're going to move that over. Now I want the red. How do I get the red? How did we get it last night? Do you remember? Photoshop refresh. How did we get it? Anybody?
Eyedropper?
Nope. Oh yeah, the eyedropper. You're right. So we got to turn on the red, turn off the blue, Grab the eyedropper and grab the red. All right, that puts the red there. Now, I'll just take that red, which is D0000E. And that will now become this one. So it's D1234E. See how easy that was to make the stop button? So we're going to save, then export it. What did we export the other one as? Do you remember?
I think it was an
Wasn't
SVG.
What?
SVG, wasn't it?
Let's take a look. Let's go to our folder. Mod 4, week 2. Start, SVG, exactly. Now, why did we do the SVG?
It's a smaller file.
Okay, what did we do to make it smaller? Do you remember? See where this went to scale 50%? It's already there, so we don't have to worry about it. We've got all our settings here. See why it's a lot easier? Just add it in there and then just save this portion of it. Export. Now, it's the stop. All right, so let's go ahead and lower that. All right, so now we got to bring it in. So File, Import to Stage or Library.
Library.
Okay, something to remember is you import it to here, it creates a whole new layer, right? If I import it to stage, it's going to actually create a new layer, correct? We've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, no? Here, let me show you once again, okay? File, import to stage. Now we're going to do the stop. As is. All right, now we bring it down to here. All right. There's my stop. Now what I'm going to do is actually put them just like that so that they kind of look like teardrops coming. Okay, now, seeing this, we now have our start, our stop. Now let's go back to the timeline. It added a new layer, but over here, it brought in all the parts, right? So I have my flag assets, which is this one. The images. My start button. And now my stop button. All right. So we have them both now. Start button. Come up here to the buttons. See, that's where we put the start layer. So buttons need to be on the exact same layer. Okay. So this, what we're going to do is delete that. Now here, this is just going to be called buttons. And this is why a lot of people like to bring it in separately, okay? So now we're going to take the button. Now if I just take that and drag it over there, that's what I get. It's not together. I have to line everything up, right? Which isn't that hard to do since we just did it above over in Photoshop. All right, so now we take this, take it over, and there we have our alignment. But we need to right click, convert to symbol, stop button. All right, so now I have my start button, stop button. And again, For ease of everything, I'm taking and putting all the button assets into there. So I have my main buttons down here and our flag assets. So we still have everything separate here. This way we can control, it's called file organization. Next. All right, so I've got my buttons, I've got the bag, and I've got the person. Those are all the assets I need for this. So you've seen how we create our assets in Illustrator, because we did all the parts of the little guy in Illustrator. We did the flag in Photoshop. We did the buttons in Photoshop. Where did we create the chains for the bag and the bag?
In animate.
In Animate. So you can see how to use them all together now, right?
Yes.
All right, so when you're looking at this, File, Save. Next thing you need to do from this point, week 2 assessment. Okay, week 2 assessment, that's the one where we're actually building we have the choice of creating a new person or adding another one to our previous one from week 1. So the week 1 assignment, or week 2 assignment, sorry, is create a new action script document, which we did yesterday. Convert, and then like I said, use HTML5 Canvas. Do not use Flash ActionScript. You guys remember why?
Because it isn't working on some Macs, I think you said?
All. Flash, Apple does not want Flash on any of its products. So if you create Flash, Apple blocks it. Does that make sense to everybody why we're doing the HTML5 Canvas?
Yes.
What's the other reason we're doing it? By doing HTML5 Canvas, when we export it and save it, we're going to publish it, we're going to export it, and we're going to save it. Now you've seen how to save it. Week 4, we're going to export it and publish it. But when we do that, it also sets it up for HTML5 for websites. Now the Mac can accept it. All the Apple products can accept it. So, all right, so we've got that. Since there will be various published files, create for this project for the remainder of the mod. Okay, so files created for this project for the remainder of this mod, it is highly recommended you create a folder, directory on a PC, folder on a Mac, directory on a PC, that will hold all your files so you'll be able to easily identify which files belong to which publish output. All right, so as you saw, I created the week 2 folder. So the week 2 folder has all the assets, right? And all the files, and it's even got the .fla. Right? Now, name the file design 246 underscore assignment 2 last, first last. So we're going to copy that, go back over. Now I'm going to file, save as. Now the reason I do it this way, now everything in that folder, and we're going to put the name up there. Close this. Now we go back to that folder. The complete. There it is. Now, come down here. If you create your file as HTML5 canvas, it will create many files and assets that will be required to submit with the HTML document for grading. Now, I am actually a little more lenient on this because as soon as I hit Control Enter, or on the PC, I mean on the Mac, the Command Enter, I get those files. So watch this. What we're going to do, let's bring that one back up now. All right. All right. So this is what we have in that file. Now watch the Command Enter. That runs it and puts it up onto the web, onto the your browser. Okay. So we have no actions. We've got the files out to how long do we want this?
I think it was 15 or no, 25 seconds.
I thought it was 10 to 15 seconds.
For the final. This one's your actual final.
The final is like at least 30 seconds, isn't it?
25 to 30, wasn't it?
25 to 30. And actually, what we're going to do here for that to verify is we'll go back up. Let's see. We're going to go back to week 1, the assignment. Let's see, where was it?
It said 15 to 30 seconds.
10 to 30 seconds.
It said 15 to 30 up higher.
So, huh?
It looks like it said 15 to 30 seconds on a different part of that.
Yeah. So I gave you guys a challenge, though.
Of 25 seconds.
At least 20 seconds, yes. I went in the middle and gave you guys the challenge of at least trying for 20 if you can. Now, if it's the 10 seconds, I'm not going to take points off. But, like I said, let's push ourselves outside of our comfort zone, outside of our box, and go for that 20 to 30 seconds, okay? All right, so now let's go back. Notice, see all those files? So now what we do, if you submit just this file, that's fine with me. But I would recommend zipping it. If you submit all of them, those 3, I'm not going to be able to see. So I have to have, what is the original file called? Just like in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, what is that original file called? The native file. You guys have heard that, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the native file, I have to have the native file. If you add those, that's okay. If you don't, it's okay. And the reason, just as I showed, because I'm going to be opening this anyway. This week, there's your assignment. You're not adding any movement or anything. Just all the assets. That's the assignment right there. But
Okay,
like,
if we have-
huh?
If we have multiple backgrounds, you said you were going to show us what to do with that.
I
like
will.
frames
Yes.
with that.
We will do that tonight as well.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me. Now, multiple backgrounds. Okay. Now, with the multiple backgrounds, what you're going to do, you guys did your storyboards. On your storyboards, you guys told me where that background appears, right? 2 seconds, 3 seconds, or what, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the way you're going to submit that would be now, let's say we have a background 2 in this one, okay? So we bring this up, and this is going to be background 2. Okay. Now, normally it would start here, but we don't want it to because it's going to show up here. Let's say 4 seconds was where we said that one. So I go to 4 seconds, convert to blank keyframe for right now. All right, now, all this, there's nothing in there. Right here is where we're going to add that next background. But in the process, we're also cutting the former background. So we're going to do the same thing here. Come on, there we go. Command. And right here, convert to blank keyframes. Note how everything after that's gone. So right here, now we draw the new background. All right, and this is where you could have some fun too. For example, let's say I'm going to make this guy now. Ooh, yuck. We definitely have to get rid of that because what's going to happen with a color like that?
It just kind of is. It doesn't look good. It's kind of contrasting with your little start thing, and the colors they don't contrast enough with the rest of the things that are there.
That's part of it. What happens when you have a large bit of red? Color psychology. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to your color theory class. What happens with a large chunk of red?
I remember red being displayed as passionate energy, power, action, stuff like that.
Okay. Now, is that the psychology of color or is that the theory of color?
I think that's the psychology.
Nope. The theory.
That was the
The
theory?
psychology is what does the color do to your mind?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Does anybody know what red does?
Couldn't it like red kind of like makes people think of different things, like maybe anger or
It's been,
associate color with something else?
you're on the right path. It's been demonstrated many times. The more red in an object, the mind is actually stimulated with anger. Just like if I put a solid black background, depending on what's around there, it could be professional or it could be very depressing. Okay.
So red
Now-
is commonly associated with negative things like anger and, as far as bank statements being in the red is a bad thing.
Exactly. Red's negative. But that's the theory. Psychology is what does that color do to the mind? Okay. So normally you try to get away from red as a big presentation. There are some things that work great with red, especially when it comes to kids. There are some things. But
That makes sense.
for the most part, with kids, you use as many colors as you can. Right?
Yes.
Or do you
Yeah.
limit the colors with kids?
I don't usually see a whole lot of limitations of colors when it's trying to appeal to a younger audience.
Well, here's a quick one to demonstrate this. In fact, I want Nickelodeon Junior. Look at all the colors.
Yep, there's a bunch of them.
The more
They're bright.
colors, the better for a kid. Okay?
They're bright. Yeah.
And the sounds.
Yeah, I think it's a xylophone. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so remember, and a lot of these are just animations here. Believe it or not, they do a lot of HTML5 animations, okay? Now, so based on that, just remember that, okay? So now what I want to do, now I'm going to make this a bumpy background or a wavy background, okay? Well, this is the fun thing about this program. Like we showed, I could just curve it up, right? Or what I could also do is we're going to add a point and add a point. Okay, let's lock everything else so nothing gets messed up, and we're going to turn everything else off for now. All right. Now I take the convert the anchor tool. And I just made a wavy background. See how easy that is with these tools? Now, when I do the command enter, okay, so I'll look through your stuff and I'll see, okay, there's a background there. And I'll look at it all. I'll look at all the frames, see where the backgrounds come in, where they change. Now, if I did the command enter, this is what I get.
Okay, so it did change in the timeline.
It did. Yep. Did you see that? So let's go back, refresh, watch. And I changed it at 4 seconds. Did you see how that did it?
Yes.
Did that answer that question on that?
Yes, very much.
Okay. So that's how you add your assets in, and that's how you add the different backgrounds. Now, let's say I wanted it elsewhere. And so we're going to delete. I just highlight to 2 seconds. And I remove those frames. That takes it back. Now watch what happens. This is still there. Because it's, huh?
It happened sooner.
Happened sooner. Now, if I take that and I shrink it down, hold the Option key or the Alt key, and you can change just one side. Otherwise, it adjusts all the top and the bottom. See, watch. See? Where if I do the Alt or the Option key, it'll only do one side. All right, now watch the difference. See how we just changed the, and then once that other one hit the point, it was off. See right here on the timeline, it's still on there. Right here, it's still there. But right there, that other background's turned off. Does that make sense?
I have a question.
Okay, fire away.
Now all of this is being done with the changes, and the changes are happening in a different layer. My question was, if you made those changes in the original background layer, would it be basically the same thing? Like if you if the background, just like the background that you were using, just changed in the timeline to what you changed the other background to, would it have the same effect?
Okay, so what you're saying is if I put the background there, let's see, so we're gonna end, oh, come on. If I do a command V, come on. Oh, it helps to unlock it. V. Now notice I did the command V, it put it up there, right? Now watch when I do the right click, paste in place. Where I took it out, it puts it back in. Because it's not an action and it's just a change, watch. Two, three, switch. It does the same thing.
Right.
So if there's no action, you can do that. But to be honest with you, beginning, I would suggest doing it on a second layer. And the reason, it helps you to see your layers a little better and learn how to use those layers and focus on the actual, or see it switched right back there because I didn't stop it. But it
Right.
helps you to see how to organize those layers, helps you to see how to make them flow from one to the next, even though
Right.
it did the exact same thing, okay? Now, am I going to take points off? No. But I will warn you, when you start putting too many things on one layer, if you have motion, that motion could affect all those things in that layer. So this is the other reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's better just to keep all of your changes separate so that you can make changes to those changes without changing other things.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd put that up now. Now, something else you could do, watch. So what we're going to do is right click, duplicate the layer. Now I'm going to go to the beginning of this one. Okay, it's the brown. I want to delete the brown. All right, so I turn this off. The brown's gone. So now watch how this just worked that way. It works the same way. Okay? So if you duplicate the layer, you can switch those out too, just like you switch out symbols. All right, that being said, that's your assignment. Does everybody understand how to do the assignment then?
So the assignment's just to make sure that we have all of the assets that we're going to need to start animating all in the same place and organized.
Correct. Now the assessment, where you create a monster or you create a monster and add it to your week 1 thing, is we're going to go ahead and build that from this point, okay? So the assignment, we just ended at 8:04. So basically 40 minutes of class. Now, why do we bring this up? Anybody know?
So that we know where to look for playback.
Right, yeah, because all of us are probably going to be reviewing this because it's not exactly, I mean, it's not, I haven't memorized everything that you've said, and I'm probably going to have to go back and watch it again.
That's fine. That's good. This program, just like with Dreamweaver, the more you do it, the more practice you have, the better you get, okay? And I'm not expecting perfection. So this one goes up to 35 minutes, actually. And if I had a pen that worked, this one just died on me. Okay, so the assignment goes up to 35 minutes. And when I post this, you'll see underneath it that I make the notes. Here's where I talk about the assignment. Here's where I talk about the assessment, what needs to be submitted. All right, so there's that part. Now let's move forward. All right, really quick. Let's go back and refresh the assessment. Now remember, we have 2 parts of the assessment. You get to choose which part you do. For right now, I'm going to move this into the assessment, okay? And the interesting thing, why I'm going to do that, because 1, it gives me the action that I need. 2, it moves your project forward and you have less work to do later if you use your project to do it. So now let's go back. All right, so using your existing working animation from week 1's assessment. This is option A. Open your animation from week 1's assessment and do a save as to name it per instructions below. Add an object to your background for the character to interact with, or use your creature for the character to interact with. Okay? Draw a humanoid type character that has jointed parts that can allow it to walk, wave, or other human-like movements. Import or make your characters a symbol and animate it using the bone tool. That's what we're working on tonight. Okay? Character's legs must at least one of the following movements: walk, crawl, jump, kick. Character's arms and hands must do at least one of the following movements: wave, push, off, or something. Okay? So there's A. B. And this is how I'm working B into it. Now, remember, what size is everybody making their animation?
$500 by $350.
Is that what the instructions said to begin with?
I think it might have been 400 by. No, I would have to look.
Okay, go ahead and look really quick. I know, I'm mean. I'm making you relook it. But that's okay. It's good for you.
The original assessment. And yeah, it says the stage size is 500 by 350.
Yep,
On the first.
it is. So, hint, hint. 500 by 350. 24 frames per second. Make an animation 10 to 15 seconds. Well, if you've already set up your animation, why not take it into the part 2? Like this. Now we're going to work on this timeline. All right, so lock everything down. I don't
I have
need
a
this
question
background
for you.
copy. Huh?
I have a question for you.
Fire away.
My animation is not a person, it's a dog. Would that still work? Because it said humanoid creature and dogs don't technically have arms. So,
But if you can move those legs of the dog, that's okay.
okay.
I'm giving you guys the freedom here because of your project you chose. And I'm basically making this so that you're moving in to week 3 ahead of it by allowing you to do this instead of making that humanoid creature and making it do it. Well, you might as well make your creature that, because this is all stuff that's required in your final, right? So if it's required in the final, let's go ahead and do it right here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if we have like just an object in there somewhere for the original animation that we did in week 1 to interact with, say, for example, like if there's like something for the creature to land on while it's flying around and it lands there and then it flies away, would that work? Or does it have to be animated itself?
You're going to have to animate the secondary creature that you're adding this week.
All right. So if it was like a tree or something, could we just like have like the leaves move or something, or like a leaf fall or something like that?
That's a little too simple because we're using the bone tool.
Okay.
And as we get going, you're going to understand the bone tool. And that's what we're going to talk about next. All right. So, but hold on to that question, okay? And you're going to see how you can make a tree do the same thing. The
Right.
branches move with the wind, right? Grass
Typically.
moves with the wind. So that's what we're I'm looking for you to be able to use the bone tool with the items you're creating, okay? If there's no movement and it's just something falling like a tween, that's not using the bone tool. So now let's go ahead and talk about the bone tool. It's right here. We're not going to get into the bind tool. We're going to use just the bone tool tonight, all right? And I might talk about the bind tool next week or week 4. Anyway, to begin with, notice, remember when I built my character. So the character's on which level? What mistake did I make last night that I said you should be ready not to make?
He's on the background layer.
Is he on the background? Let's turn the background off. Nope. Not on the bag layer. He's on the button layer. Never put your characters on the button layer because you don't put any action on that layer. Your buttons go for this one, the buttons will go from the start to the end. Okay? So what I'm going to do, unlock, move up. Now remember, we converted it to one symbol, right? So we're going to go outside, click, Command C, and delete. Lock. Okay, the bag in here. Now I'm going to, above the background, add a new layer. Fighter. Come on, there we go. There's my fighter. Now, just like I said before, because I copied it, I can go right click. Does everybody know how to right click using their trackpad?
You touch it with 2 fingers, or you click with 2 fingers.
Okay, what's another route?
I think it's a command click.
Command click. All right, so I could paste in the center, which puts it right there, dead center. Or paste in place exactly where I took it from. Okay? So now we have our character there. Now with the character, I'm going to make it walk up to here, and then it's going to kick the bag. To do this, what we need to do, everything's locked except the fighter layer. Double click, go into the fighter layer. See how we went from scene 1, now we're in the fighter layer? And now this is where, okay, the individual parts are. Well, now you take the bone tool. All right, we're going to start the bone tool dead center of the neck. I'm going to go down. Whoops. Let's go to the throat, the chin. There we go. Go down. Okay, notice there's now a line. From this line, if I go to here, it goes to there. I click and drag to the first one and then to the second one. From there, click and drag. So I've just created kind of a wireframe for each movement. Okay?
So it's called the bone tool because it's giving something a skeleton.
Exactly. Now, the fun part of the bone tool. Now I go back to my selection tool. Notice by putting that on there, it created an armature, right? Well, let's do something really quick here. First, let's save this. There we go, save. Now we're going to go File, New. And we're going to leave it at that. And we're going to go to the dark blue because, like I say, I hate that white background. It works for certain things. It's just not, it's too bright for me. All right, so now we have this. What I'm going to do is we're going to draw, let's draw kind of a beam. All right, it's not an exact beam, and we didn't fill it in, so let's fill it in. Now, why isn't it filling in? Can you tell me?
Is the object closed? Or is it because you use the bone tool?
Look at the color.
Right.
Remember that, okay? So what we need to do that, we're going to delete that. And now I'm going to make that a white. And then this one, we want to turn on to yellow. All right. Now, see how that has a color to it now? And it's a lot easier to, if I'm going to do a rectangle, to use the rectangle tool, right? Why are we wasting our time trying to draw a rectangle if I have a rectangle tool? All right, so now what I want to do, we're going to delete that now that we made that point of watching your colors, make sure they're turned on. And we're going to go back to the primitive tool, the rectangle primitive. Who remembers what that does? You guys remember? Okay, let's make the rectangle. Now I go to here. Now I take this point. Notice how my arrow changes. You can take that and I round my corners. That's what the primitive tool does. Everybody understands that, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that and my tools did it again. What happened to my toolbar? What's missing?
That transform tool, the little box with the dotted lines.
Okay, so here's our Illustrator. We're not going to need Illustrator tonight, so I'm turning it off. Now we go to Photoshop. Somehow I've got the most of the Photoshop tools. We're going to turn it off. Close it. All right, now let's go back to scene 1. We're going to copy that. But first, we're going to actually right-click, convert to symbol. Now, I'm going to use a graphic here. We're going to call it steel bar. Now, question, what color is steel?
Gray.
Yeah, it's like a metallic gray.
Okay, so if I want metallic gray, how did I show you to get the metallic gray?
Look up the hexadecimal code online.
Okay, what is it for metallic gray?
The color libraries have metallic tones in them, don't they?
Is
Let's
it
take a look.
D1 DBDD?
Say it once again.
D1 DBDD.
D1D BDD, like that. Okay, that gave us almost a white. Okay, now somebody said the color what? Well, let's take a look here. Notice you don't have that option in this program.
Oh my.
So let's go back to here. We want metallic gray. Now, is it AY or EY? Anybody?
I believe AY.
Yes.
Yeah, EY is if it's someone's name usually.
Yeah. The reason I bring this up, there are people who will misspell it, not intentionally, and they cannot find it. All right, light gray, D3, 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 or silver, a dark gray, or a gray. Notice it didn't come up with metallic.
Oh, I see what it is with the spelling. I think that it's a derivative spelling that might be like sometimes you'll come up and people from like the UK will spell color with a U.
Yes. Notice you can sometimes get the same thing between the two of those, okay? All right, so let's see. Metallic mint. Well, what would a metallic mint be?
Like a green.
Yeah, it would be kind of like a light greenish color, I guess.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring that up. Didn't change it. It went to blue. So very light blue. Well, metallic gray is almost like that silver. What is silver? When we talked about silver, what did it turn out to be? Pound, CO, CO, CO. And see, the more you use these, you're going to start remembering them, just like you did there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and use that. Now, what I want to do with this is I'm going to, now we're going to go down to the boom. Come on, do what I want you to do. All right, so we're going to save that and come on, open back up. Ah, it's being picky tonight. There we go. Now it's going to let me put it back. All right, now, as you can tell, I am missing. What tool am I missing?
The free transform.
Free transform. How do I get it?
Right click.
Right click. Transform. Free transform. And notice, look what popped back up. Let me show you something. See how the gradient was there? Remember that. Does that make sense what was wrong?
Yes.
Okay. This is some of the troubleshooting that I see as we go through class. So that's why I'm bringing a lot of these up so that you can see it now. And when you hit that problem, know how to fix it. Okay.
Okay. So the free transform tool was under the gradient transform tool.
Yep. All right. So now this, double click. Is a steel bar, right? So we go back to our selection tool. Double click, we go inside of that steel bar. And I can alter that steel bar. All right, make it look like a hat. But we're going to leave it like this for now. Now I'm going to duplicate that. And I'm going to put these end to end. We're going to do 4 of them. All right. Now, the bone tool. When we use the bone tool, we start right here. Watch, see how the bone is white? As soon as it changes to black, you click right there and you drag to the next point. Click and drag. Notice it didn't do anything, right? Well, what you have to do is make sure that you're within the frames, okay? See how the plus works? Now, you'll notice right there, 1 doesn't appear because that's the end. All right, now I take my selection. And what I'm going to do, notice this is armature, right? Let's go out to 4 seconds. The right click, insert pose. All right, so we're going to go to 1 second. I'm going to grab this and turn it. Here, we're going to grab it and turn it again. Here, we're going to turn it 1 more time. And then here, because I made that pose, it goes back to straight. Now watch this when I run it. That is what the bone tool does.
Wow.
The bone tool has taken what used to take for that would take probably 30, 40 moves to make, at least.
Yeah, that's a lot more work.
Now the bone tool does it for you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So can you only like click to make a point with the bone tool on a path? Like my little person's leg is connected to his body without like a path differentiating it. Can I still click on that?
Now we're going to go backwards here and take all that out. Okay. I see what you're asking. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put in the 40 seconds here. No, we don't want to insert a pose. Sorry. We want to insert a frame here. All right. Notice it still has the bone tool. The Command Z or the Control Z, whichever one you're using, depending on your Mac or PC, does not remove the connections of the bone tool. If you want to get rid of that, you have to clear the armature. Cut. Gone. Now, I'm going to put that steel bar back in here. Adjust its size. All right. Now, I see the question you're asking. So what we're going to do is this. All right. So now we have our legs. Command C. CV. All right, so we have 2 legs, the body, now with the legs, what I want to do is I'm going to add a second pair of legs. Not pair of legs, but the joint. Here's the knee, okay? So we add this. All right, now what I want to do is I'm going to, well, we're going to delete those. We're going to just bring over the arm. And I'm going to make it a different size. Than the legs. All right, so we're going to put that right here. We're going to duplicate that. All right. So now I have my arms, right? We're going to do it on the other side as well. All right, so now the question you're asking, we're going to take the bone tool. I'm going to connect top to bottom of the body. Notice it's not letting me. You actually have to have points to do this. So we're going to add a point right there. And point right there. Take the bone tool. Now, see how that let me? Oh, wait. There is no stroke there. Well, how did it make the stroke? Oh, I know how it did it. Okay, so we're going to add a point. So we're adding anchor points. I'm going to add one there. And there's one there. Okay, so now we take the bone tool, click on it, and go down to the bottom one. There is no stroke there. It's being mean to me tonight. So we're going to go around that. All right, so here's the head. Now what we're going to do is take the bone tool, start at the bottom of the head, and go down to there. There is no stroke. Come on. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now, the next step, take this point to the starting point of the arm, to the next point of the arm. Now notice it's not letting me. Why? Can anybody tell me? It'll let me go backwards, but it won't let me go forward. Well, let's take a look what lines we have now. Come on, get back here. Come on, bone tool, do what you're supposed to do. Okay, and then we're going to go to one right there. There we go. So now we have our bone tool to there, and we take it down to here, and then down. It's not connecting to that bottom one for some reason tonight, but it is connecting to the inner one. So we can make that happen just by taking those out for right now. Okay. And I think what it is I haven't restarted my computer tonight. So it's not redoing it. Remember, what did I say about restarting your computer?
Turn it completely off and then wait 15 seconds so that it can clear all of that temporary memory stuff.
Yep. All right, now notice these points. Those points are the movement points. Okay, so now, really? Have you had this problem yet, Michelle?
Sorry. No, I have not, but I have run into some other things, especially in Animate This module. And it's interesting because I was like, is it me? No. So no, I haven't had it yet with the boning tool, but like I said, I have run into a couple of other things.
Okay.
Other tools where they just weren't clicking correctly, or or they just weren't connecting right when I was trying to group stuff. It just wasn't working.
Okay, I'm glad it's not. I wanted
No.
Okay, so as you guys are seeing, this new update, when they released the new update about a month ago, just over a month ago, some of you guys were in my last class. Is there anybody here tonight that was in my last class, last mod?
I was. It was web design too.
Yes, what happened big time?
Dreamweaver just decided to do whatever they felt like doing. It messed everything up. It completely screwed up your curriculum by itself.
We wrote our code. So, all right, so we have the two here. What I'm going to do tonight then for this, because I have two, there we go. Now I have one there and one here. So I have the armatures. Let's go ahead and we're actually going to go all the way down, get rid of those, because now notice there was 3 armatures there. Only one of them had working stuff. We need to make sure that we don't do that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 together. Now let's do 4. And I'm going to shrink this down. So there's 4 of them together, right? Well, this is one layer. So what I'm going to do is right click, since I've got them all clicked, and we're going to convert to symbol. And this is going to be arm. Now instead, we're going to choose a movie clip. Now we take this, click, notice it's not doing anything. And the reason, this is now one symbol. So what we have to do to move it, click inside the symbol. See how it says arm now? I'm inside that symbol. Remember how we were talking about creating symbols, right? So now we take this, click, drag to there, drag to there, drag to there. Remember, it doesn't go to the last one. Now, the next thing is if I click that, I can take parts of it and rearrange it. Now we go back and see, I just totally broke the bone, right? So what we're going to do is go back with it. Go back out. All right, so now we're back to here. All right, now notice there's a dot on these spots, okay? If I click this dot, that means everything starts from there. Okay, so I move it up and down. If I click this one, same thing. Everything's moving from this point. All right, now, if I come out to here and move it moves at the previous joint or there, depending where I tell it to move it. Right, so we're going to start here with the level, okay? Right, so we're level. I'm going to go out to 4 seconds. Notice I did the insert pose. So that means it ends up straight, right? Now, did I hit the 4 seconds or not?
Not quite.
Not quite. The 4 seconds is actually right here. This is every 5. Okay, notice it's a little darker on every 5. But 4 seconds doesn't fall on the 5. It falls on 24 times 4, right?
Yeah, so that would be, let's see, 96.
Yep, where I'm at. Now we go here, and if I insert a frame, there's no pose there. So if I change this to here, I just added that pose. Notice there's a dot there now. Now if I take that pose out, and instead insert a pose. Now it goes back. That's where it's going to end. I have that at the starting point, and I've added that at the ending point. Now we go to here. Let's just say 10. Take this. Now we roll down. All right? But before we do this, what we want to do is I'm going to choose this. Holding my shift so it goes proportionately. And there we have it. Now watch. I still have that same thing. So we go back, we go to here at 10. I want to grab my selection tool. Wow. When you change the size, if you do not change their connection points, see what happens? The connection points are at the same size still, aren't they?
You got disjointed.
Because this here, what happened was that the connection does not change when you do that. Only the size of the character does that. So what you need to do is change that size before you do any of the bone tool. Okay, so now we're going to delete that one. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to make sure everything's clear. Yeah, there we go.
So if you are in a situation where you have to change the size after you've already established the bone tool, you have to redo the bone tool.
Yes, and there's ways to do that. Okay, we'll probably get into that one later, but right now I want to show you the basic how to use it, because that's going to be required for this week. All right, so we have this, and I'm going to Command CV, and CV. Now, all right, so now we have this. Notice how I overlapped them. By overlapping them, now we won't get that little break that we were getting before. Okay, so now watch what happens with the bone tool. You go right to the next point and to the next point. Now watch the difference in this. Okay, now we're going to go out to, let's just do 3 seconds. Control, insert pose, so it ends up there. 10 seconds. See how much smoother that is by overlapping them?
Right. So that way it doesn't just seem like a raw skeleton.
Right. Now we've added, but you're starting to see how to create a skeleton now.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show you guys a really cool animation too tonight. We'll get to that. All right, so now watch. So now we have it waving, right? All right, so there's arm one. So we're going to actually, back to the timeline. All right. Notice I didn't make it a symbol. But I could select the whole thing like this. If I go right click, convert to symbol, arm one. All right, now watch. Here, it's solid, no movement, no joints. To get to those joints, what you have to do is click inside arm one. All right, now, why do we do this? Well, if I put a second one here and basically, see, when you're on your timeline, every layer, you do one tween between frames, right? Between your come on, mind dump here. Between your keyframes, you do one movement, one tween. You don't add 2 or 3 tweens on that same layer inside each other, unless it's creating a specific movement.
Because if they're in the same layer, they conflict, right? The different motion tweens.
Right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, put it there, right there, and move those down. Now watch. Now do you see what I was talking about the trees?
Yeah, you could just copy paste, and move stuff around a little bit and have a tree blowing in the wind.
Yep. All right, so now what we're going to do here, I put those ends together so they stay together.
It's legs.
It's legs. Now what I can do also is now we're going to bring over the steel bar again. Notice it's still really large. So we're going to go do the same thing. We're going to shrink it. But because I'm not doing tweens, I can do this. Right? So now we're going to go highlight it, Command CV. Now what I want to do here is notice this dot. What is that dot? What does that dot do? Anybody tell me?
I've been seeing that dot for a long time, and I still don't really know what it does.
Okay, let me show you. We are going to take so that we could see it. All right, well, let me finish this thought and then we'll go back to that. Okay, so there, Command V. And Command V. All right, now we have this. So we're going to create the lines again. Notice we're at the end, so it doesn't do anything. All right, so we go back to here. Notice it's another armature, okay? So what I'm going to do right here at the very end, we insert the pose, right? So it turns out the same. Now at the 10, we're going to go back. We're opposite directions now. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. All right, now watch this. Okay, so now we've got that one doing its own thing, right? Does that answer how you create 2, 3 that do the same thing? But who was that asked? Was it you or Amanda? Amanda or Christina or Emily?
I think it was maybe Emily. I'm not sure.
No, it wasn't me.
So it was one of the other ones.
But Amanda or Christina, what did you ask the question?
I had asked if you can put points with the bone tool somewhere that is like not a path. Like my little person that I made is his body just flows into his legs, so I don't know if I need to make it a separate little square or.
No, actually you can. All right, I see what you're asking. Okay, so what you're asking now, what we're going to do is we're going to delete these. We don't need them. And we don't need
So like, can you just put a point in the middle of a solid object and make that object like bend right there? Is what I guess I'm asking.
Yeah, I see exactly what you're asking now. So what we're going to do the pen tool, and we're going to do that in the outline. We're going to leave there. All right, so now if I'm on the wrong path, tell me, but I think I see what you're asking.
Yeah, I think I see where you're going with this. My person, the reason I asked is my person is like one of those little restroom icon people.
Okay.
And I was going to make him walking, but I wasn't sure if I was going to have to like split apart all of his limbs or if he can just stay as like one solid
He
thing.
can, depending on your lines. And this is where, remember how I was talking about how you create your creature or your being if it's in Illustrator and you bring it over grouped, ungrouped, and all that. And that's where this comes into play. You know what? We're going to have a five-legged octopus.
So it's a pentapus.
Yeah, he lost a leg. There we go. All right, so now the bone tool. To get the bone tool to work, one of the ways that I've always done it, and I am adding steps, But to me, remember, I do it the way I feel I have the most control. When you guys are going through the reading assignment, it will talk about this, okay? Just like I'm talking about it now. So what we want to do, convert to symbol. I'm going to go to a movie clip. All right, now, to do this, we need to go in for me to have more control. All right. I'm going to add some points on this leg. Whoops. Come on, quit. There we go. I need to add some anchor points. All right, now that I've added the anchor points, what I do, let's grab the bone tool. Start here. Notice where it goes black. Can't be applied to a stroke. So what do? Ideas?
You fill it and then delete the stroke.
Fill it. Now we delete the stroke. Okay. Now, do I have my anchor points still? Well, let's take the bone tool. All right. Okay, so now we've got our armature. We're going to go out to 50. All right, now let's go to 5. And notice what's happening there. See how I just curved? The problem is I set my starting point at the bottom end of the octopus's leg. All right, so let's go back, and now we're going to set it the other way. So we delete. Now we're going to set it up here. Remember, I told you I was going to show you some solutions to things, right? Now we go to here, to here, to here. And by the way, this version is a lot easier than the older versions because the older versions did not like to always click on those. All right, so now we're going to do that same thing here. Right click, insert a frame. That puts me at 55. Okay, we'll do that. So we're going to go insert pose. Now it ends at the same. All right, now I take this and look what it does to all of it. And if I take one, it will turn at that one spot unless I grab it and pull down. There we go. Now, watch what's happening to some of these legs. So when you do this, there are certain points you'll have to go back and consider when you're doing this. Okay? Does this answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, now look what happens if you go too far. See the lines? How it just basically takes it to a line? Here. And here. And here. Now we're going to run it. So now I have my octopus moving and swimming. Does everybody see how to do that? So that's the basics of the bone tool. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to mine. Okay? Now we're going to go back to this. Now I'm going to save this file, save as. Week 2. Well, that was the complete. And this is why you'll use 2 folders instead of just 1. Okay, so now we're going to do the assessment. All right, so now I have the assessment. And the assessment. All right, so now I'm working on the assessment too. All right, so what I'm going to do, this character is going to jump and kick. But to do that, we are going to use the bone tool. Let's go in. And we're going to actually, we did that in the character. So notice what's happening here. See how those moved out? Because I did not connect onto that back leg, I just made the mistake of doing that. I connected to those legs and nothing to those legs. They're connected to the body, but not to the upper legs. See, they're not connected at all. So that's something you need to watch out for as you're doing this. Okay? Now I click on those. Now I click. If you hit delete, look what happens. But before we do that, let's go back. And I'm going to put the legs back together.
So you can delete the bone tool when you have it highlighted. You just can't Command Z it.
Yes. And it's only partially. It doesn't get rid of the whole thing sometimes. It's a matter of how you drew it out there. Now notice, when I did that, I also lost my hand. So, the hand, the way we did that, remember? Control, transform, flip horizontal. Okay, what happened? What did I do wrong?
You didn't copy it
You
first.
didn't copy it first. You just,
Right. Remember, you have to copy this first because this is an Illustrator.
Yeah.
This is one of those points it's not like Illustrator, okay? Okay, so now there's that. Now let's make sure I got all the spots out of the legs, which I did. Now the joints are still there. So, there we go. All right, now, what we're going to do, we're actually going to just go ahead and delete the fighter, and I'm going to rebuild the fighter. Fighter's really easy, right? How do I build the fighter? I'm going to delete that fighter because I just messed it up, right? So walk me through building my fighter from last night.
Your body first.
Okay, there's the body. Whoa. Look how big that is. So now we're going to shrink it down, right? Okay. Then
You're gonna pull in your arm.
stop. Come on. There we go. And we're going to shrink it.
Yes. And you're gonna copy it and paste it.
Okay, but before I do that, let's angle it, right?
Okay.
All right, now. See that point? Now I just moved it to there. Now watch the difference when I rotate it. Where before, now watch where it rotates. See where it rotates? Around that point. Does that answer your question on that point? Now it's doing what it was supposed to do earlier. Was that Joshua? Was that you that had that question on the points, what they do?
Yeah, the midpoint
Yep. Now I move it.
for rotating.
Yep. I move it to right there, and all the rotation is going to come from there.
Okay.
So now I'm going to copy that. And then I'm also going to transform horizontal. Okay. That's going to go to right here. All right. Now I'm going to Command CV. All right. Now I'm going to actually cheat. Take that one out and just copy that one. I'm going to transform. And we're going to flip horizontal. And now I'm going to create two other symbols. Okay, first one. Well, let's finish this up first. So the free transform. TV. All right, so now we have the legs and the arms. So this is going to be the left arm. Click, and now we're going to convert to symbol. Left arm. Convert to symbol. Whoops. I'm not swapping symbols, I'm converting. Convert to symbol. Right arm. We're going to do the same with the legs. Now they each have their own symbol, but they still have the basics of this. If I delete that, they're all gone. But can you see how I'm using the same symbol to create other symbols? Can everybody understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now I have those. So this whole thing, right click, convert to symbol, fighter. So we've now caught back up to where we were. All right, now what I want to do is this thing's going to jump, fly, kick. All right. To do that, well, I want the knees to come out, right?
If he's gonna jump, he has to crouch first.
Does he?
I mean, not necessarily, but there's physics.
Actually, martial artists get that bounce without having to bend their knees.
Really?
Yeah, they use their ankles.
Oh, it's just not strong ankles. I can't even do that.
Yeah, I can't any longer. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to go inside the symbol. All right, because we're going to go out to 96, which is 4 seconds. So we're going to insert frame. All right. Now I'm going to take the bone tool. And the bone tool, there, click. It's not there. Why not? Can you tell me why? Remember, you have to be inside this symbol, so I have to get inside that right arm. Now there's the bone tool. So now I go back to here. Nothing happens there, does it? It all has to happen inside that arm. Okay? Now, like I said, there's more than one way to do this. This is just my preferred way. And as you guys go and practice with this, you're going to find more. And this is also the long way, not the wrong way, the long way of doing this. As you guys play with your stuff, you're going to figure it out how to do it the way you prefer. All right, so now I've added all those anchor points. So, barring physics, what we're going to do, this character is going to fly up. All right, well, easy thing is, all I have to do is convert this to a tween. Create a motion tween. Actually, not here. Come on, get me back. Okay, there we go. Let's go back to scene 1. There we go. Scene 1, I want to convert that to a motion tween. And yeah, I want to get rid of that. So I want to go back to the original background for this one. So we right click, whoops. The shift, see how it highlights, right click, remove frames. That second one's gone. Now all I have to do is go back out here, right there, right click and insert the frame again. So now my background's back. All right, so now the fighter. All right, so from here, he's gonna fly up, and this was how long? How many seconds is this? It's 25. So my fighter is going to jump up and fly and hit the bag at 10 seconds. All right, so right here, I'm going to right click, convert to keyframe. Now the reason I did that is because afterwards, I still have the fighter. Before is where I'm making that change, okay? So at this point, I'm going to right click, create a motion tween. All right, now we go out about, let's see. I want to go to the end here. And this person's going to land right there. Now, how do I add the movements I need to from last week? You guys remember? How am I going to make the person go up, fly sideways with their legs, and hands are going to go move to a certain position? Can anybody tell me? Okay, well, remember, we're going to go here to 10 frames. Well, let's actually go to 1 second. And if you click the whole thing, remember, it moves the whole thing. But if I click just the character at that point, right there, it moves up. Okay. So at 2 seconds, now we're going to have it go sideways, about there. And then we'll adjust those legs inside in a moment. So we go to here. And you see how I'm just using my arrows like I did last week. Okay, and he's starting to hit the bag right there. All right, so now he comes down and goes back to here. So here's what we have. And because of timing, this is a little rough.
Enter the dragon. Oh.
Okay, so now what I need to do is now we go in and use we come back to here. And right here, we're going to start making the legs move. Well, the thing is, when we do this, whoops, so I need to there. Whoa. Because I have that as a, well, if the bone tool's not there, what happened to the bone tool? Well, we'll put the bone tool back into it. Okay, actually, I don't want the bone tool. I want that. I want it on this one. So this one is going to go up sideways. Whoa. Go sideways. And now this is where I need the bone tool. So the bone tool. Come on. There we go. Now the bone tool is going to come up like this. So here's what we have. See how the bone tool did that? But why is there no movement on that bone tool? Well, we remember what we have to do. We go back, we have to go out. So for example, to here, insert, pose, and it starts here. And then it goes to there. Now watch. And see how it keeps jumping back? The way to stop that. Now we go back. And this is where some of the coding comes in, okay? So we go back to here, double click. So coming in, coming in, coming in. I'm in the left leg. Right here. Now I'm going to go to the code snippets. You do not have to do any coding. This is doing everything for you. Timeline navigation. Stop at this frame. Now watch. Okay. But now you have to go in and change that so it's straight again. Does everybody understand how that worked?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go back. Now we're going to play with that again. By adding that stop, it stopped moving up or down, okay? But the problem is, if you watch this, comes, and then it stops when the guy starts to come down, which is, let's go back to the main timeline. And you notice right here, you're not going to see it while you're going through this. All right. So right here, hits the bag. And now it starts to go down. This now needs to go straight again. So that's at 165. So what we're going to do is go into the leg. Okay. And at 165. Well, 7 seconds. We're going to insert a frame. Now we're going to go straight again. Because now it needs to land, right? Now, see why it's not working. Now I'm going to show you why it's not working. Okay, so we go back in here. Z. Okay, so we go into it itself. I'm in the left leg. I did not continue it in the left leg. I continued it out here. All right, so make sure right here nothing's happening because I'm in the fighter. I'm not inside the leg, which goes to here. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to totally delete the actions. All right, and right here, we're also going to right click and, excuse me, right here, and we're going to insert a frame. But we're going to actually go out to, what was that, 165? We're going to go out to 7 seconds. Insert pose. Now that pose, now we'll straighten that pose here. Now watch. Flies. Hits the bag. The other one's going down to the pose. And it jumped back up because I have it still going.
You fix that with the code snippets.
Nope.
No?
Now you fix that. Back to the scene, timeline. Now you fix it. Now we're here. We have that going all the way out to 165. Now we add the, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you were right. Add the code. Now we add the code. See the difference, how that works? If you put the stop in the wrong spot, that's what's going to happen. It's going to basically stay bent. Okay? Now it went back because we started over. But you notice it didn't do it again. The reason, now you need a, instead of stop, you'll just use, this is where you're using the code. Now we're going to take the code out and do it another way. All right, so now let's go into the left leg timeline, and we're getting rid of these. Okay, so now notice that I have that already made. So I want scene 1, 7 seconds, right there. Right click. And I'm going to insert a keyframe in that position. One right there. Insert keyframe right there. Now, that keyframe now changes everything after that, okay? What a lot of people do is they'll break it and then create a new one. That way, he totally ends right there. And then they'll create a second character for anything else. Does that make sense? How each character now, I built this fighter, now I'll build a fighter 2 with the same parts, then a fighter 3 that'll do something else. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, now with this, with what we showed you with the octopus, what I showed you with the octopus, with the metal bars, that's the basic of the bone tool, okay? Now, combining them on your timeline is going to take some time to play with where you want them, okay? So I'm going to have on Sunday open class time. What that is for you guys that don't know, we can't have lab time. So I call it open class time. Therefore, and I'll announce it, it's not mandatory, but you can come in for extra help. Does that work for everybody? And I will announce the time later.
Yes, sir. I have a question, actually.
Go ahead.
I have. I mean, I'm on Eastern Standard Time right now, so for me it's like almost midnight, and I have to be at work in the morning. Could you? And I really hate to interrupt the lesson or anything like that for something like this, but could you help me figure out why my thing's not updating? Because I really have to get to
Yes.
bed really soon.
And actually, we're at the end of class for tonight.
Oh, okay.
Once you have that character working, that is assessment 2.
Okay.
So I've shown assignment 2 and assessment 2 tonight. So that being said, are there any other questions? I'm gonna hurry this through for you, Josh. Are there any other questions?
No.
Okay, and I will post and send out an email about the open session, the open class, excuse me. So thank you guys for coming to class. And Michelle, I have some questions for you after, if that's okay, if you could stay around a little longer.
Sure, definitely. Not a problem.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and end class tonight. Thank you guys for coming. And I will see you Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.